Hey, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another show. We've got a video just for you. We've got the most up-to-date stimulus check information. We've got a ton of news that you definitely do not want to miss. This video is loaded with information, and guys, I'm telling you, this is one for the books. You're definitely going to want to stick around to catch all of this news. We've got a ton of information, a lot of things that are actually going on, but very well, some $360 million in inflation relief money, and it needs to be claimed by June 1st. So again, guys, we've got a ton of news for you guys. Definitely want to make sure we update you on all the information. Winnie the Pooh and everyone, here we go, more bull crap. So much love, guys, but here's the cool thing. Here's the cool thing. We're going to show you right here on the screen so that Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore 2 can see exactly what we're talking about. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. You love and support me in the world. We couldn't do this without you guys, and we will update you on other things that are happening. Yes, there is a lot of things happening, and you definitely want to claim yours. And there's a lot of things from stimulus checks, other things that are happening, and we want to make sure that you know exactly what is going on. Welcome back to another show. Happy Sunday night, and definitely super excited, guys, about what is happening, and definitely super excited about the update in news. We're going to show you exactly what we're talking about. Terry, James, Deanne, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Your love and support me in the world, guys. Hope you're doing good. Guess what? Tomorrow is Memorial Day. We honor those that have served, that have given their life. We definitely respect those that have served, and we appreciate everyone who is on this channel who has served and given their life for our country. Josephine, and thank you so much, guys, for everything. But here we go. I want to show you kind of what's going on here. Guys, check this out. This is a pretty major news.
Okay, state lawmakers poised to hit the jackpot next week. They could score more than $250 million to spend any way they want.
The thing is, some of that money might actually be yours to spend however you want. Consumer investigator Chris Kimura is here to explain why and to help you get your slice before lawmakers do.
That's the whole point. Get your slice before the lawmakers do, guys. This is pretty big news, guys.
Good evening. The next few minutes could put a couple $100 back in your pocket.
Record prices at the gas pump.
Sudden inflation.
Unleaded gas for over $7 a gallon.
Hit family finances hard in 2022.
Not just for gas, but for everything else.
It's really hard.
State lawmakers and the governor responded with an emergency relief program.
It's called the Middle Class Tax Refund, and it's our way of getting money back into your pockets to help with everyday expenses.
Sacramento sent millions of people a debit card or deposited money directly into their bank accounts.
It was for $700.
Carlos Solis, who's a San Jose State student, welcomed the relief money.
Which I thought, this will help me, tremendously to pay tuition.
A year and a half later, part of the relief program is beginning to wind down. But state financial records we reviewed show hundreds of millions of dollars left unspent and now at risk of not benefiting any families at all. In fact, next week, the Franchise Tax Board is set to trigger a huge transfer. On June 1st, it'll move more than $360 million out of the Better for Families Fund and into the General Fund, where lawmakers can spend it however they want. Before we dig into how and why so much emergency money from 2022 is still sitting unclaimed in 2024, we're going to put a QR code up on the screen. Snap it to contact the state to see if you're due any money.
If the government makes a promise to help the people, they should.
Remember Carlos and his $700? Well, turns out part of his relief money was stuck. He couldn't transfer it all from his card to his bank.
So I kept calling and calling for the period of about 6-7 months, and it was the same deal every day, every time. It was just, oh, sorry to hear that, let me transfer you to the right department, and I got disconnected.
Ultimately, he asked for our team's help to get his full $700. Without our intervention, the state might have labeled his account dormant and might have sent his money back to lawmakers.
That's not acceptable.
Other people complained to us too,
This is our tax money.
and state lawmakers.
And we got calls, by the hundreds from people who literally could never get through on the customer assistance lines. And that frustration ultimately led, I think, for people to just give up.
A recent state audit of the refund program found lax oversight at the Franchise Tax Board, allowing its private card contractor to ignore 36% of calls for live help with the tax rebate cards.
All right, 36% of people have been ignored, not being able to get those cards. Guys, that's some sad news right there, just because, wow. So many people definitely understand this is something that people desperately need, and they need that money. They need to be able to get further ahead with their bills.
The vendor, called Money Network, told us calls were not answered for various reasons, like some callers hanging up quickly. It said the middle class tax refund program was unprecedented in speed and scale.
The big failure was on the folks who were not able to get through in the system and the folks now who still have these benefits coming to them who haven't accessed them yet.
If you never got a payment or aren't sure, speak up before June 1st. Scan that QR code. Now, if you've got a debit card but haven't spent it all, your balance is safe. For now, the state is holding that money in a different bucket that lawmakers can't claw back until 2026. If you forget, it's okay. We're going to be back in 2 years to remind you, but we really do recommend you use that money now.
That is exactly what we're talking about, guys, is there has been so much money given to the states, given that they haven't spent it. $367 million that has gone unspent, not sent to the families like it was supposed to be. And because they haven't pushed it, ignoring 36% of the calls, they're saying, well, guys, if you don't use it, we're going to take it and we're going to do whatever we want with it, which somebody should say, no, we got to make sure everybody gets the help that we need. Why don't we take a trip down the road and find people that are homeless and say, let's help get you into a home. Let's help get you off the streets. Why don't they take some of that money and do that? In fact, seniors could definitely be using that money. And again, guys, there's so much big news out there. There's so much things going on. And while people have stated we need a big change, guys, this is some pretty big news. Check this out.
You may campaign in the Bronx or at Madison Square Garden. When might that be happening?
Very soon. Look, we have 9 months yet, but I'm going to see about Madison Square Garden, and we're going to go to the South Bronx. I think there's a chance to win New York.
Now, that was exactly 3 months ago tonight. And now Donald Trump is doing just that. He's heading to the South Bronx this Thursday after finishing up in court. Look, if you're a working class voter, there is only one choice that makes any sense here. The guy who gave you a roaring economy, the border was closed, low inflation, and rising wages. Plus, let's face it, Trump's just more fun. The press likes to talk about how compassionate Biden is, but there's nothing compassionate about what he's done to every aspect of American life. And I was thinking about this today. Trump's compassion is really in his policies that ended up making your country more secure and put more money in your pocket. And plus, he could be a stand-up comedian.
I just got this today. Somebody handed it to me. So weird, and not as a joke. I said, anybody have any Tic Tacs? And the guy said, yeah, I have one. Look at the size of that sucker. Could you? This is called Biden Tic Tacs. This costs more money than the one that was like 10 times bigger. This is inflation.
How many people could do that after sitting in that courtroom for 4 weeks? Look, Biden has nothing to offer but fear and loathing. Fear of each other and hatred of the greatest country on earth.
What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? The trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. I never imagined in 2024 there'd be folks waiting to ban books in America. What in God's name is that about? Not only that, they're trying to erase black history, literally.
That is a wicked, false thing. It's a defamatory comment to say something like that about the nation he leads. And he goes on and on and on. Look, we believe that all men are created equal and that we have certain inalienable rights given to us by God, regardless of skin color or our station in life. He joins me now. Reverend Ruben Diaz Sr. is a former New York City Council member representing the South Bronx, which I love. Reverend, great to see you. This was a scene over the weekend during your march. You might have to work on your chant just beyond just Trump. I'm just teasing.
Hey, that is a peaceful protest right there.
Reverend, but look, can we do better than just... Oh, it has a certain ring to it, but you're a lifelong Democrat. People watching don't know this. So why'd you organize this march?
That's why I used to be a New York State Senator for 50 years also. And all my life I have been a Democrat. But we are so fed up, we are so tired, we are so disgusted with what President Biden and the Democrat has done to our state, our city, and taking away the benefit, taking away the program, taking away space, classroom from our children, from our people, to give them to undocumented people that come here illegally. I would like people to come here, but I would like them to come legally, as everybody else has come. But what the Biden administration has done, they might have thought that we Hispanic would like to see all those Hispanic coming to the border like crazy. But no,
it's killing wages.
We reject that, and we want Donald Trump to become the president of the United States, to close the border and to start working on the grocery prices. To start putting everything back. As a matter of fact, you know what I want to see? I want to see the Bronx, the South Bronx.
I want to ask you this question. You said that African Americans, minorities, are conditioned to hate Republicans or hate someone like Donald Trump. What did you mean by that?
I mean that for years, the Democrat just come to our community and they say, vote for me because I'm a Democrat and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Then they get elected. They don't do nothing for black, nothing for Hispanic community, and they blame the Republican. And for years, they have managed to blame the Republican, and the Republican has been
absentee. They were absentee. Reverend, I got to ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt, Reverend. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to ask you one question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most excitement, 1 being like Biden level excitement, how big will this Trump event be in the South Bronx on Thursday night? How big will that be in excitement? 1 to 10.
11.
I'm so excited about this event. Whatever it is, I don't know what it's going to look like or how big it is.
Me too.
I'm excited to see it. Reverend, I'm going to come to New York and hang out with you because you seem like you're really fun, and I think we need more people speaking out. All right, well, I'm coming.
Guys, that's some crazy things. So people have really underestimated the effects of an open border, and they've not really taken into consideration that other than people, there's a lot of good and bad that comes in with it. And Oklahoma has done or made the statement to do something about it. So again, do you agree with Oklahoma on banning immigrants from state? Yes, no. Guys, check this out. This is some crazy news right here.
Wants to make it a state crime to live there without legal immigration status. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt joins me now. Governor, Justice Department is suing you for this. It seems to me that it's really all about who controls immigration policy, the feds or you guys at the state level. Is that what you're fighting for?
You know, absolutely. Well, first off, I mean, it's already illegal to be in our country undocumented or to come in anywhere except the port of entry. So this law did not all of a sudden that we passed in Oklahoma make it a crime to be here illegally. So that's the first thing. But, you know, again, we've got to have a secure border, but we also believe in immigration policy and workforce. So we're actually trying to solve that in Oklahoma. And I set up a task force that would really put H-1B visas back in the state form. And so we want the state of Oklahoma to be able to determine who's in our state, who's working. Let's make sure that we know who they are and meet the needs of our workforce, quite frankly. But we have to have a secure border. We stand on that in Oklahoma.
But you want more H-1B visas, don't you?
That is correct. I mean, doesn't it make sense that our employers would come to the state, like if you need more construction workers and more agriculture workers, manufacturing, and we could help match up the workforce needs of the employer with the employee. And we're like the country that everybody wants to come to, but we're not utilizing that. They need to pay taxes. They need to be part of our society. I'm not saying that they have to vote, or we're not going to make them U.S. citizens and give them access to all of our safety nets. But if somebody wants to come work and provide a service, then we should match those two people up, and that's kind of our philosophy in Oklahoma.
But if they don't have legal immigration status, they cannot be matched up with an employer in Oklahoma. You can't have illegals in there, can you? You don't want illegals there, do you?
That's exactly right. We've got to make sure we know who's coming in, and if you look at who's coming through the southern border, only 18% are Mexican nationals. I mean, you got people from all over the world, people on the terrorist watch list, 52,000 from China that are coming in across the southern border. The Biden administration has got to fix that. And that's why Republican governors have been putting out proposals that are pretty common sense. You've got to remain in Mexico until you get legal status to get here.
You're calling on the White House to help the 5 Americans facing charges of illegal possession of ammunition in the Turks and Caicos. Have you heard back from the administration? Tell me more about this.
Yeah, I mean, this situation is crazy. We have 5 Americans that are being prosecuted down in Turks and Caicos they basically had a couple pieces of ammo, like a deer round cartridge in their backpack from a previous hunting trip, and now they're facing 12 years in prison. Had a great conversation with the White House yesterday, just kind of putting that on their radar. We've talked to the Justice Department. Our U.S. Senator led a group that went down to Turks to talk to them. I've talked to the ambassador, the governor of Turks, but the punishment doesn't fit the crime at all. And these are great Americans that basically had a piece of ammo in a bag, in a backpack, and they're facing 12 years in prison right now. So it's just unbelievable.
It is indeed. Governor, before we leave, 20 seconds, is it correct to say that Oklahoma is the most Republican state in the nation?
I think so. I mean, all 77 counties went for President Trump. So, yes.
Well, glad to have you on the show. Governor Stitt, come back soon.
Guys, that is some big news. And again, this is where so many people, they're fed up. They are fed up with the way that our country's been going. They're fed up with the way that everything has taken over. But what I don't understand is why it seems that the issues that we're dealing with that are really affecting Americans hasn't been resolved. Guys, look at this.
Parenthetically, I was appointed by the fellow I ran against when I was 29 years old to the Naval Academy. And I found out 2 days earlier they had a quarterback named Roger Staubach and a halfback named Joe Molino. I said, oh, I'm not going there. I went to Delaware.
Well, this morning, President Biden is raising eyebrows over that West Point commencement speech where he once again recounted the unverified story about his so-called naval appointment. Our next guest also graduated West Point. He's military veteran Texas Congressman Wesley Hunt, and he joins us now. Congressman, thanks for being with us. There's layers to this new Forrest Gump entry into Joe Biden's life. The most obvious layer is there's no record at all of his appointment to the Naval Academy.
Well, of course there's not. And let me tell you something. I went to West Point. My brother went to West Point. My sister went to West Point. We all graduated. So I know a thing or two about a West Point graduation speech. And this was hands down the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. This should be about the cadets. This is supposed to be about these brave men and women that are entering a world to where they may be asked to give their lives for their country. And Joe Biden is making unsubstantiated jokes about stories about his own personal life that we know are false. But quite frankly, we can't really expect anything more from a guy that checked his watch multiple times when those brave soldiers were returned home from that Afghanistan withdrawal, that botched Afghanistan withdrawal. But I tell you what, 2028, the class of 2028 is in luck because President Trump will be giving their commencement speech, and I can assure you it will be orders of magnitude better than what I saw a couple of days ago.
You know, Congressman, I was talking about the layers to it, right? The appointment is one layer. The other layer is, as I have to give Jason Chaffetz credit for pointing this out, Joe Biden played wide receiver. Roger Staubach played quarterback. So why would Roger Staubach's presence push Joe Biden away? He didn't want to play with one of the greatest potential quarterbacks of all time. And the halfback he mentioned had already graduated, wasn't even there for Joe Biden. So the layers of lies on this are wonderful. But the most important part, perhaps, is what you're pointing out. He's at West Point telling people he could have gone to the Naval Academy and chosen the same life path they did, but it wasn't perfect for him.
I mean, he didn't. And also, he needs to understand something, that the motto at West Point is beat Navy. We don't want to hear about Naval Academy stories at our graduation. But as we all know, Joe Biden barely knows what he's talking about for the most part. He's clearly lost a step here. And these stories, these unsubstantiated stories that we keep seeing over and over again, are a result of his cognitive decline that we have seen over the course of the past decade. And it's on full display. And whenever we start seeing stories like this with these levels and the lies and the mistelling of these stories, what we all know as Americans are this: it's time for us to move on, and this is why we're going to have a very good November, Will.
Well, Congressman, it is Memorial Day weekend. Tomorrow, of course, Memorial Day, and you obviously served in not just Congress, but also in our military as well. Would love to hear your message for us on this Memorial Day.
My message is about my classmate, David Frazier. He was killed on November 26, 2006 on his last mission. He was one of my very best friends, and I had the honor of giving his eulogy. This day is for him and for the brave men and women that gave their lives to defend this country. And they gave their lives to defend this country so we could have a greater union in our future. That's what we fight for every single day. We have the honor of waking up in the morning and putting our feet on free, sovereign American soil and breathing free, sovereign American air because brave men and women like David were willing to die for it. This country remembers those people, and we shall never forget their sacrifice to the greatest country in the world. And that's what tomorrow means to me.
That means a lot. That's beautiful. And I think it's important not just to understand Memorial Day in the abstract, but to listen to people like you and others who can share how it's actually personal as well. The individuals that have given what they've given for this country. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Amen. Thank you for having me, Will.
That's the thing, guys, that so many people are wanting to see better, and I appreciate guys like this that have given their life, stepped into Congress, and honestly, did it back in the old days where you weren't a president unless you went to the armed services, unless you served. Why don't we get back to that, guys? Maybe make things a whole lot better, because several people, they don't understand what it takes. What he talked about, how those people were just not respected, and it's literally heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, guys, when these people put their lives on the line and there's no respect, and it's heartbreaking. But guys, this is some crazy news that literally just come out.
Former President Trump is making a move on third-party voters tonight at the Libertarian National Convention. Fox News national correspondent Alexis McAdams is live in Washington, D.C., where the reception for Trump will likely be mixed. Alexis.
Hey, Jason, that's right. Libertarian voters here tell me at the convention they're not afraid to speak their mind, and they're going to let Donald Trump know what they thought about his time in office. Trump's team tells me he's from Queens. He can handle it. He's not worried about it. He'll take that stage and talk about his first-term accomplishments, I'm told. Last night, Vivek Ramaswamy, who's been a pretty big hype man, right, for the former president, was out here trying to get voters on the same page, saying there are some similarities between Trump and the Libertarians, but he was met with some boos. Watch.
No, well, definitely not me. I'm a Libertarian through and through. I'm going to be voting for the Libertarian candidate. I plan on nominating them today and then voting for them come the general election. There's nothing Trump can say that would flip my vote.
I'm interested to see what he does. I'm really excited, actually. It's not going to be his normal crowd of freedom-loving people. We are very much freedom-loving people, and we don't know that Trump is going to have the welcome reception that he's used to having. We love Trump for certain reasons.
And those voters say they might throw out some boos, but there might be some cheers as well. This is what happened, though, when Vivek got on stage. Watch.
I have gotten to know Donald Trump over the course of the last several years and the last several months. And you're going to hear from him tomorrow night. And the question is, do you want to influence the next administration or don't you? That is the question for this room to ask.
But the presumptive Republican presidential nominee will take the stage in just about an hour here, just 24 hours after independent Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had this to say about Trump's response to the COVID pandemic.
He closed down 3.3 million businesses with no due process, no just compensation, in violation of the Fifth Amendment. With the lockdowns, the mask mandates, the travel restrictions, President Trump presided over the greatest restriction on individual liberties this country has ever known.
So the question is, where do things stand right now? Well, check this out. This is the new Marquette Law School poll that just came out this week. In a five-way race, Trump receives 40%, Biden at 37%, and RFK coming in at 17%. Back out here live, we can tell you the room is filling up with people.
This is where, again, our nation is... It's going crazy, guys, of what's happening, and to make things even better.
President Biden handing out another student loan bailout, this time worth nearly $7.7 billion.
Altogether, Biden has canceled nearly $170 billion in student loan debt amid slipping support from young voters. But our next guest warns this move will only hand the presidency, in fact, to Donald Trump.
New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu joins us now. Governor, I know that you're not a fan of this policy by the Biden administration, but more importantly, you say the voters aren't either.
Well, yeah, I don't know who came up with the policy. It's unfair and terrible in itself, but from a political standpoint alone, it's an absolute disaster because, you know, think of it this way. There's no young person who might have been voting for Trump who says, oh, their kids took my debt. I guess I'll vote for Biden now. No, that's not happening at all. So he's catering to a base that was probably already with him and at the same time ticking off a lot of hard-working American families, a lot of Democrat families, union member families that work very hard and see the inherent unfairness to the whole thing. So bad policy, bad political idea. I don't know what they're thinking over there, but they are. This in its core, right? If you look at the border is open border is a terrible policy with the drugs and the sex trafficking and all that. But at its core, it's unfair. Right? So it's one thing to know that your government isn't doing a great job. It's another thing when the president rubs it in your face in the unfairness. And the last point here, nobody thinks any debt is being canceled. Right? Debt doesn't get canceled. It doesn't magically disappear. Right? It gets transferred to you. You have to pay it. We have to pay it. Other families have to pay it. So all he's doing is arbitrarily moving debt from one group to another, thinking it's going to help them. But at its core, it's going to really backfire. And you're seeing it in the numbers. If this was such a good idea, why aren't your poll numbers going up, Mr. President? It's not working. So, I just wish that they would kind of get back to basics, focus on the country, and just start listening to families who just want to be treated right.
So you said that 26-year-olds are running the White House or probably came up with these policies, these advisors to Joe Biden. I probably can't disagree with you. I think it's probably those advisors, as well as maybe Barack Obama in his mansion down the street in Colorado, D.C. That's probably happening. But now Donald Trump has a very different message. And I know you and Donald Trump haven't, always seen eye to eye. Where are you with Donald Trump right now?
I haven't spoken to him in a bit. Obviously, he's going through the trials. He's going through the campaign. His poll numbers are great. Everybody, as we kind of predicted, everyone's coming on board over time. And that's important because even those that kind of say, well, I don't love the guy or the reality of the Biden administration, the reality of these bad policies is driving people away. I've always said that, I never thought Donald Trump was our best candidate, not even close. But at the end of the day, this is how drastically bad Joe Biden is at being president, is that at this pace, Trump's going to win this thing. And that's the culture change people want to see. People are saying, look, if anything, give us change. Give us something that we can kind of hope towards instead of this un-American stuff that we're seeing come out of the White House right now.
So you're on the Trump train right now by default.
Is there a train? Look, I'm voting for the guy. I think a lot of folks are voting for the guy. And I always say, elections are about choices, right? Yeah. When you go in the voting booth, you don't sit there and have a debate with anybody. Yeah. If you're 51-49 for that guy, that's who you're voting for. And it's A or B, guys. That's it. And there's a lot of folks that are going to go in that direction.
Yeah.
All right. Governor Sununu, thanks for being...
Guys, we've got some breaking news, and this might just shock you, but for many of you guys that understand the issues that are happening in our country, this may hurt.
The president has the authority to do something about this unilaterally. Congress is in a divided government right now. Why isn't he doing anything?
Why should he have to do it unilaterally? Why should we do it in a legislative way? And let's not forget that negotiated.
I know, but undo some of.
Wait, so you're right. He took many executive actions before, but in order to deal with what's happening at the border, in order to deal with a broken immigration system, you need law.
As you saw on the right-hand side of your screen, Bill Maloogian talking to a lot of Chinese and Turkish, primarily people crossing the border, while Fox News has pressed the White House on Biden's inaction there. You saw the cameras that are capturing the people who are coming now into mostly Southern California. Bill Maloogian's live in Yucumba. This is the most concentration that we're seeing on the border now is the entrance through California, Bill, right?
Martha, it is, and it is not slowing down. Our CBP sources tell us another 120 Chinese nationals crossed illegally yesterday right here in the San Diego sector, and we were there to witness many of them. We'll get right into this video. Take a look. This was late yesterday afternoon here in Yucumba, right where I'm standing, a mass illegal crossing through private property made up of predominantly Chinese and Turkish nationals. We saw some of them carrying their luggage with them. Some were talking on their iPhones as they walked through. We saw one guy even spray himself down with cologne as he was walking. We tried to chat with some of these people as they were walking in. Some were willing to talk to us. Others had zero interest in being on camera. Take a listen. Where are you from?
China.
What country? China?
China.
China?
China.
China. What country are you from?
India.
India. Where are you going?
America.
You're in America. What city?
I don't know.
You don't know? Why'd you come?
I don't know.
Hi guys, where are you from? China? You guys from China? China? Hello, what country? China? No? China? So this ended up being a group of about 100 illegal immigrants, again, mainly made up of Chinese and young men from Turkey. A Border Patrol van was actually playing audio in Mandarin, giving instructions to the Chinese. We talked to a Turkish man who spoke English, who said he sold everything he had to get here to the United States. And he also expressed shock at how easy it was for them to just walk across the border into the United States without any resistance. And he said Americans should be worried about who's coming into the country. Take a listen. Did you have to pay a cartel?
Yes.
How much?
Around 10,000.
10,000?
Yes. In fact, the American people is right. Completely true. Who come into this country? They don't know. Well, okay, I'm good, but how if they're not good? How they're killer, psychopath, else? No guarantee of that. Why? Like no security, no security check, no background check.
No security check, no background check. You're worrying about who's crossing the border?
Yes. Of course, me because I'm like people are not look normal.
Golly.
And I asked that guy how he managed to get here to the San Diego County border all the way from Turkey. He told me it was a 24-day journey, and some of the places he traveled through included Qatar, Dubai, Egypt, South Africa, and Brazil before he even got to Central America or Mexico. We'll send it back to you.
Wow, and the door's wide open. That is incredible. That's an incredible soundbite, Bill. That this.
Can you believe that someone from a foreign country said Americans should be worried? That Americans don't understand that there's no security, no background check, and that people who may not be with good intentions coming in so easily, and people want Joe Biden as president? I'm going to leave it to you guys in the comments, because you heard it from someone who said Americans should be worried, guys. That is all that's the key. And Joe Biden is not even taking any of this into consideration. Guys, I love you. Appreciate you. God bless every one of you. Thank you so much for your love, support. It means the world. Stay tuned. We've got more videos on the way, and we'll see you in the next one.